It's usually a Tuesday show, but I've had such a great outpouring of people that like want to be on the show that we decided to do on Thursday so we could bring you more teachers talking live. If you are watching the rebroadcast, you can go ahead and leave your comments in the section below, and we'll be sure to get back to every single one of your questions, 100% guaranteed. And if you want to, you can watch this on a podcast on SoundCloud. I have the Real Rap with the Reynolds channel on SoundCloud, and you can check out the podcast there so you can safely drive or ride your bike or walk your dog without looking at your phone at the same time. Tonight, I have a very special guest. I'm very excited to have her on. Her name is Charlotte. She runs the channel Apples and Tiaras on YouTube, and I'm going to guest her in right now. Is it working? Perhaps? Maybe? I hope so. Looks like it. Kinda. Awesome.
Hello! Am I there?
How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for being on.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me.
This is cool. I see your dog's in the background also.
Yeah, well, I can't figure out which way to lean. Like, yeah, okay, this way. There's mine over here.
Yeah, so every time... Usually my dog is barking, but I just gave him a bunch of peanut butter, and I hope that
he's set
in the kitchen for a while. So I'm so glad to have you on. The funniest thing about doing this is like talking to people in real life for the first time. It just is hilarious because I don't usually get to do that. So So before we get started, can you just say a little bit about who you are for the two people that don't know who you are?
Yeah, so my name is Charlotte, and I have a YouTube channel. It's called Apples and Tiaras, and I teach 4th grade in Northern Arizona. This will be my 4th class coming up. So I've been teaching for 3.5 years. I graduated in December, so it's like a weird half kind of situation, but this is my 4th class, and I absolutely love teaching, and I'm just really, really excited to be here. Oh, and I'm having a baby.
You are having a baby.
I am having a baby.
So few YouTubers with babies that are doing the thing. I'm glad someone else is. We talked a little bit about this the other day.
Yeah.
What's been your experience so far? What's maybe talk because I haven't had anyone that's pregnant on yet, or I don't know if I've had anyone that has kids. Really, I'm looking at my silent partner, my wife over here. So what's been your experience so far with like maternity leave? Is that nerve-wracking? Are you excited about it? What are you thinking about all that?
Well, I have already experienced teaching and being pregnant at the same time because my whole first trimester was during the end of the school year, which I'm really, really glad I went through state testing while being pregnant because I didn't have to do a whole lot of actual teaching. Obviously, we had instruction time and review and all of that, but I really had no energy to do much at all, which I'm expecting to come back in the 3rd trimester when I go back to work, which is funny because school starts like right when I'm hitting the 3rd trimester, but I'm excited. It'll be fine. I think the kids will give me enough energy that I need. But just preparing for maternity leave so far hasn't really been too hard. I've been just trying to get my year in order and what I want to cover, what topics I want to cover in the year, when I want to cover them. I'm kind of being a little selfish and reserving all of the fun topics for when I'm there. Just because I love teaching those certain topics. I've also been trying to figure out what exactly my district needs from me to be able to do maternity leave. They haven't really given me a whole lot of information yet, mostly just insurance and all the boring stuff. So I'm sure once I get back to work, I'll get to hear what is expected from me as far as what I need to do for maternity leave. But I do plan on staying active in my classroom while on maternity leave. I don't think that it's fair for me to just disappear for 3 months because I really do fall in love with my kids and I would miss them. And I just want to make sure that they know, like, oh, she didn't leave us because, that's not really what it's about. It's I need to be gone, but I love you and I'm still here and I'm still supportive. And so hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get a really great long-term sub who knows what they're doing in teaching and can really bring all of the things that I'm expecting to the classroom without me being there. So it's like I told you yesterday, I've been really, really focused on getting my classroom organization together and my classroom management, because if I don't have those things rock solid when I leave, the sub is just going to have a hard time. As long as they can go along with what I've already instilled in the kids, they'll be fine. But if there isn't something already set and put in place, it's going to be really, really difficult. So that's really my main focus is what am I going to do for classroom management? How am I going to keep it organized and stay super consistent with it in the beginning, the first 3 months of school, so that I can make sure when I come back, it's the same class and it's not just a hot mess.
Yeah. So what'll that, so 3 months in, you'll leave in December then? I'm not sure when your school year starts in Arizona.
We start August 7th, and then my son will be born hopefully in the beginning of November. So is that 3 months? Yeah. No, that's like, yeah, almost 4 months.
I teach English,
but
I don't know that, so.
yeah, I have to count on my fingers. It's an elementary thing. But yeah, around 3 to 4 months that I'll be in school, and then I'll be gone for 3 months because I do get up to 3 months unpaid maternity leave.
Really? Wow, that's interesting. I mean, it's so funny that this stuff is different from state to state. I just always assume it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my dog's going to come in here and it's going to be hilarious. It'll be like they're talking with one
They
another.
want to be on the, they want to be part of it.
Yeah. Will you know who your sub is before you leave?
I'm really hoping that I can choose who it's going to be, that maybe they'll give me some options of people who are interested and that I can maybe like interview and just choose the right person. I would really love to invite them to come in and like observe and co-teach with me for a while before they start. But I don't know that I'll have a choice. I've met a couple of people that have been interested and then something else comes up. And I just don't really know. I mean, like I said, as soon as I get back to work and in the grind, I really will be able to tell how it's going to work. But I'm really hoping that I can have somebody that's, really willing to come in and meet with me and, learn from me. And that way it can be a really positive experience for both of us instead of just, oh my gosh, this person left for 3 months and this class is not what I expected, or, whatever. I just would like this person to be like, it's like an interview. Like, I have to make sure you're perfect for this. These are my babies. I can't let like anyone take them,
Absolutely. I think that would just really help them out also, because the kids would get to know who they are a little bit, and it wouldn't just be the stranger that showed up and
right.
The lady we've loved has disappeared. And how exciting for your students to be able to see you like come in with your baby. And I find my students remember when both of my children were born still, and they'll like see us at the mall or at Target or something like that, and they get so excited. Like, I remember when you were born and your dad had to leave school, and
that's
bring them in Halloween costumes and stuff like that. So it's really super exciting, and there's so much there that I'm excited for you to kind of be able to get to
I know I'm going to have I know I'm going to have a student, because Jennifer from Genuine Teaching, she works with me, and she teaches third grade. So she's giving me all her kids from last year. And I know I have one boy whose mom is also pregnant and due the same exact day. So he'll have the same experience at home that I'm having at home. So that'll be really cool.
That's awesome. So let's get into some questions. I see a bunch of people that we both already know on here. Kate, Sleepy Teacher, and teaching who you were just referring to is on here. But Lee Gets Fit, who's on every week, and I really appreciate that, Lee, asked, has anyone started lesson planning for the fall yet? I'm starting to, and I'm struggling. 3 syllabi done, quizzes done, and layout for the year, sort of. Wow, that's ambitious.
That's a lot more than like, I'm struggling.
That's went on break like 3 weeks ago. I haven't. My planning will actually start tomorrow. But have you, because you're in the situation that you're in, like trying to get ready because the baby's coming, have you started thinking about that stuff yet, or is it?
Well, like I said, I've kind of started mapping out my whole school year and just the topics I want to cover, what standards I want to use to cover those topics. And I've started planning my first week back, but I've kind of hit that like planner's block where like I know what I need to do. I just like I'm having brain farts on what like exactly I want to do. But I think Jennifer and I are planning a couple of planning dates. We're planning to plan a couple of planning dates to get at least our first couple of weeks planned through, and then have, like I said, that whole year in a glance kind of already done. Uh-oh. You're frozen or I'm frozen. Who's frozen?
You're frozen on my end. I might actually be frozen in real life. I'm not really sure. It usually works out. I feel like there shouldn't be because we live in 2017 and this stuff should be in 3D anyway. Yeah, can you still hear me though? Charlotte? Uh-oh. You now freezes, Kate said. And Kate would know because she's like Kate, you now teacher. Now, I'm all by myself, so maybe she'll pop back in just a second. While I'm waiting for her, I am going to say that my planning this year has not started yet because I'm teaching a brand new class next year where I'm teaching a co-taught class with a friend of mine. Is this going to work? With a friend of mine who is a special ed teacher, and we'll have a mixed classroom next year that I'm really excited about. So that's going to be a completely new curriculum that we have to map out. And she just got back from Thailand for 3 weeks. You hear me?
I can hear you. I'm sorry. My internet connection was weird for a second.
No problem. No problem. So I was just saying that I'm teaching a co-taught class next year and with a friend of mine, and it's brand new. Like I'll still be teaching 9th grade, but I'll be teaching 10th grade for the first time. And I'm pumped about it. Like I already told the kids that this is going to be like the best year that we've ever had because I get to co-teach with someone who's so fantastic, and I'm really, really looking forward to that.
That's awesome.
Katie K said, I wonder, what is your biggest struggle with your classroom organization? I feel like elementary's got to have way more of an issue with this than high school, but what's your struggle?
Well, I think that my biggest struggle with organization would be that I just have so many kids. And last year I taught 32 students, and I think my room is like 20 by 30. So I have a really small classroom, and I have a lot of kids. This year I'm expecting to have 36 kids. So I think that the biggest struggle is just keeping all of them organized, all of their stuff organized, and making sure that the room is, sometimes the room will just be a complete disaster because there's 32 bodies with 32, pencil bags and 32 notebooks. And it's like, oh my gosh, everybody just pick it up. Like sometimes I get crazy, but that's my biggest struggle. I'm a really organized person. And when other people get involved that need to be organized, I tend to just I get the shudders and everything. But I think that's my biggest struggle is just having too many people with too much stuff. Once they're gone and I can clean and organize a little bit, I'm like, oh yes. But other than that, organization, like keeping my grades, all of my papers organized and all of my off-duty work organized, that's easy. That's the easy part. Keeping my lesson plans organized, keeping all my materials organized, that's easy. It's keeping all of them organized that is my biggest struggle.
Yeah, I'll bet. I think this year will be different because I'll have a lot of the kids that I'll have for a longer period of the day. And so we're going to try a lot of new stuff. But organization for me, I know my strengths and my weaknesses. So I bring my wife along, and she's excellent at organizing stuff and telling me what to get rid of and what to keep and how I should keep it. And that really, really helps. I think the longer I do this, the more outsourcing some of my work is really important because it helps me keep my sanity going into the school year. Because I really like being super organized. I like from everything, from like the way that I plan my class to the way that stuff is laid out. I like the kids to know exactly where everything goes so that I'm not trying to figure that out in the midst of it. It gives me like a really great peace of mind when I walk in every day and everything is the way that it's supposed to be instead of going in and it's like a madhouse in there. And
Yep, absolutely.
Jen is asking, What are you most excited about this upcoming school year? I guess, like, besides having a baby, because I don't know that you're more excited about something.
I'm excited to revamp everything. I'm really excited because I'm doing flexible seating again. I started it mid-year last year and I loved it. I did hit some road bumps, which I can talk about on YouTube for hours. But I'm revamping my flexible seating, so I'm really, really excited about that. I'm excited for the group of kids that are coming up. I know most of them because I've been in and out of Jennifer's classroom all the time and all the other third grade classes. So I'm really excited for some of these kids. I already love them. And just being able to work. I love where I work. I love the people I work with. So when I'm away for summer, I'm kind of like, I miss these people. So I'm just excited to be back in the groove and to really like nail down my management and be really consistent and nail the flexible seating, hopefully. And yeah, that's kind of the top couple things I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's I have. So, like I said, I've decided that this is going to be the best year ever. I had a great year last year for us, but I have tons of really great stuff planned out this year, from really great class trips to new lessons, new books. I'm co-teaching with someone new. And I find that if I just expect that I'm going to have the best year ever, then I just have better years like than I would normally. It has me going in with like, I don't know, being more optimistic than I would normally. I have a quick question though about flexible seating. Is that something that your school kind of, did they push you towards that, or was that like your idea? Did all the fourth grade classes do that? What was your experience with that?
Well, it definitely was not my idea. I actually can give a lot of credit to my dear friend Jennifer. We teach at a 5C school, the 21st Century Skills. If you don't know what those are, it's community connections, communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. And we try to use these 5C super skills within our everyday teaching, classrooms, everything like that. And flexible seating is a really, really good way to get the communication and the collaboration piece in there. It also has a lot of student choice, as you guys know, and our principal was really, really supportive. Jennifer's actually the first one that started it, and it sparked this huge fire that just lit throughout our whole school. And I think at this point, at least one classroom per grade level is doing flexible seating 100%. Some of the other ones may not be doing it 100%, but they have different options, or they're implementing it in a certain way. I'm really interested to see how many people do it next year, because we all started kind of doing it, and we actually have kind of a reputation in our community that, oh, that school is the flexible seating school. That's the 5C school. That's the school where they do all the cool stuff. Jennifer and I we were at Michael's shopping, and we ran into a parent. We were laughing about the fidget spinners, and his daughter comes up and is looking at them, and I said, no, don't touch those. Like, I was totally joking. He's like, that's okay. She doesn't need those, because at her school, they do flexible seating. So she can like reset her focus somewhere else. And with flexible seating, we're like, oh, where does she go to school? He's like, oh, she goes to so-and-so. And we're like, that's where we teach.
Nice. That's really funny that someone like thought that was a good idea. That a parent saw that as a good idea. So Steph Henry is asking a question, which is interesting because we were just emailing today. Oh, that it disappeared, but I think I know what it was. So she asked, oh, now I'm going to forget what it was. Oh, here. You have it? Oh, she's asking you if you, what is the daily 5? Do you use it?
What is what? I'm sorry. I totally like jumped out for a second. Yeah.
She's asking if you know, what is the daily 5 and do you use it?
I think I know what the daily 5 is, but I don't use it. I would have to be reminded. I think there's a lot of teachers that do use it. But for me, it's just, I mean, I've heard of it before. I don't use it. I think it's like read to self.
Sure.
Right. You know, I'm just going to say, nope, I don't know what it is.
I have no idea what it is. She asked me in an email, and I was like, I don't know. I just make stuff up as I go along. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, Kate, the sleepy teacher is telling us word work, listen to reading, read to self, etc.
Okay.
I was close.
So maybe, Stephanie, if you find Kate the sleepy teacher I don't know why I'm looking at my phone and saying that because that's where her question is. But Stephanie, I can maybe with Kate, if she's willing, and then you guys can just have that conversation. She can help you out with it because I know you were wondering about it before, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, did you have that other one? What are you? Sorry, my wife's.
Sorry. No, that's
we're a
okay.
team over here in New Jersey. Kaylee Nicole asked, what types of seating are you going to have in your classroom this year? Is there I'm interested in that as well. So flexible seating, from what I've looked up on the internet, like it looks different in each class. Is there some stuff that you lean towards and some stuff that you're not so pumped about that you try and stay away from?
Yes. So last year I started in the middle of the year and I really just got rid of half the desks that I had. I put 8 desks, I'm trying to remember, 8 desks on the floor, and then I had 8 desks raised up. And then I had 32 kids, so I had enough desks for half the kids, and then the rest of the room was kind of free game. I don't want to call it free game, but it was more of like a pick wherever you want to sit. And I got all kinds of pillows from the Goodwill. I found those like leaning pillows that they have. There was like a gaming chair that was a hot commodity, let me tell you. It ended up having to be like an incentive chair because it was just a complete disaster. But what I would do is I would split the kids in half and I would have them alternate days. So on Mondays, the same 16 kids would sit in the desks. And they could sit in any of the desks that they wanted, either on the floor or standing, or if they wanted a chair, I provided them with a chair. And then the other 16 had kind of free range wherever they wanted. And they could have chosen, I put the items, the pillows, in certain places, and they had to sit where the pillows were. And then there were some movable items, just depending on what they needed. You know, if I knew this one kid needed to move, they could move that seat. And some students I did have to assign a seat just because of behavior things. And I never got any complaints because at the end of the day, they realized, you know, this is where I need to be successful, to be positive. And then the next day they would switch. So it was A day and B day. This year, I plan to have actual seating options, not just you get a desk or you get flexible seating. It's more of like a different type of seating. I plan to have 8 desks, period, on the floor. And then I have purchased some tables, some round tables to seat at least 4 to 5 kids. And those are going to be seating with stools from IKEA. They might be ottomans with the storage underneath. I'm not doing yoga balls. Those are just insane and it's not going to happen. 4th grade does not need to have a yoga ball. I tried that last year. I had 2 or 3 yoga balls and I was like, nope, those are gone after a week. Ripping those out. Yeah. And then obviously some more seating options on the floor with cushions and inflatable discs. More of like it's not sit wherever you want. These are specific places to sit. It's just dependent on what you need for that day, whether you need to be up or you need to be down or you need to be on your stomach somewhere. So just different types of seating options instead of just go where you want.
Yeah. So I have a follow-up question, but also Deborah Paul is asking, was our flexible seating mid-year?
Yes and no. I feel like the kids were really excited about it and they were very open to it. It's just getting those management things down pat in the beginning of the year is a lot easier than in the middle because they're already kind of stuck in their way with certain things. So like when we had all the desks, there was a certain expectation and then all of a sudden the expectation changed. And, you know, sometimes as teachers, we expect them to be ready to go, but it took time to get them where I wanted them to be. And I think that at the point where I had started it, it was a little too late. And I still had expectations that they knew, and most of them, like 98%, were perfectly fine with it. And of course, there's that other 2% that's going to fight you on it and that are going to be difficult, but you just power through it and you stay positive with them and you give them their incentives and it's fine, you know. But I think that if you want to try flexible seating, you know, try it in the middle of the year and get all the kinks out before the new year. Because now I know exactly what I need to do, what I have to do, and what I really, really want, and my expectations that I'm going to be sticking to.
That's a really good point. I think even in terms of, I think trying new stuff like towards the end of the year or the second half of the year is really important, just because you might.
Oh, he's frozen again.
Oh, is it frozen? Can you hear me? Because it might unfreeze.
Lost me.
Can you hear what I'm saying? It's smooth tonight. I'm going to pretend that other people can hear what I'm saying, and then we'll figure that. I'm going to fix that. Should I drop her and pull her back in? Okay. So I think there's a lot to say about like trying new stuff towards the latter end of the year, because if it doesn't go well, then you don't have to deal with it the whole year. You can just like, you know, figure it out at the end of the year and then figure out how you're going to do it better the following year and not get stuck for 10 months in school doing that. You there?
I'm here. I'm so sorry. My computer's being a stinker.
Well, it's going quick. And I feel like it's right after you're finished talking about something that it keeps happening. And then I
know it's just interrupting you, which I'm bummed because then I'm missing what you're saying.
I'm trying to be really succinct in what I'm saying so that it doesn't go too long. I was just saying like the importance of like doing something towards the latter end of the year. When most people are just trying to ride out the year, it's a great time to experiment on stuff, because if it sucks or if it goes the complete opposite way that you wanted it to, you can just either decide to do away with it or you can revamp it over the summer and get ready for the fall. And then you're not stuck doing something all year, because I think there's so much importance in being consistent at the beginning of the year that you want to like find things that are going to work and then, you know, really go at them and instead of like giving up.
Yeah.
Kelsey Eiler? Never. I'm so bad.
Us teachers and names.
Best teacher advice for your first year of teaching. I get this question a lot. I'm sure you do also, like on YouTube. What's your go-to advice for this?
Well, it wasn't too long ago that I was a first-year teacher. And the best advice I would say that I should have given myself was just relax. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Nobody expects you to deliver the highest test scores in the state. Nobody expects you to have the best behaved class. You just have to survive. That's the only thing anyone is worried about, is just get through it and make time for yourself, because if you throw your whole self into work, you're going to make yourself sick. You're going to make yourself crazy, and you just need to relax. If you find that you're becoming too stressed, take a step back. Really, really ask yourself, what is important that I need to do, that I need to get done, and what am I doing that's over and above that I don't need to do right now? You know, don't grade everything. Yeah. You don't need to. Don't grade every single homework assignment. Don't grade every single writing assignment. Don't sit there and try to find all the missing periods in their sentences. Just relax and be present, and don't overstress yourself, because you're just going to make your life terrible.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. And actually the be kind with yourself piece is really been important to me since the beginning. And I think, so if I was going to add something different to that, since I would say, I'm that kid in class that's like, she just said what I was going to say. But I would say make friends. My first year, all I did was sit in my classroom. I didn't try to meet anyone. And I'm an extrovert also. I love making friends with people. But I think it's just so important because it makes school more fun, first of all, because you're friends with someone else. If you go through something hard, if you have a bad day, you have someone there that can really understand what you're going through, that maybe had that student before, has been in that situation before. And if something great is going on, I mean, I always feel like my wife was really great at listening to like me either lament when I came home or be really excited about stuff. But when you talk to another teacher about it, that
Yeah,
really hit home on a different
they
level
get
where
it.
they're super excited about it.
Mhm.
And so I would just say like try and make friends. Like make sure that if
Mhm.
everyone goes out for drinks or for dinner,
You
just
go.
go along, you know, and even if you
Mhm.
find one person that you really connect with, that's awesome. It's way
Mhm.
better at the end of the year to be able to like look back
Yeah.
and say, "Man, I made a new friend," and like this is how we
Yeah.
helped each other through the year. It's
Mhm.
That's what
Absolutely
I would say.
agree. I absolutely agree. If I didn't have my teammates my first year teaching, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, they had been teaching there a couple years, and a couple of them were my even same age, but had been teaching maybe 1 year more than me. And even they were just somebody to talk to that understood everything I was going through. My husband was great, but he's like, yeah, okay, poor honey, cry on my shoulder. But he never
Yeah,
understood. I mean, he would try, but he never really understood. His, of course, thought was, well, who is it that's making you upset? And why are
yeah,
they treating you this way? And it's like, it's
yep,
not them. It's just, it's this profession. You have ups and downs, and having somebody to reach out to that has been through it is really important.
yeah. It's totally invaluable. Tracy Pinter asked, "Would you ever consider going into administration or a role outside of teaching?" I get asked this a lot. Have you thought about that yet, or is that like something that's on your
No, I
mind?
don't think I would ever want to do administration, just because if I think my job is stressful now, imagine having to be in charge of all the teachers and all the students and all the parents. I think that right where I'm at is just fine. Maybe somewhere down the road being, a coach or something like that, or even like a specials teacher. I would love to teach music or even computers. But I think just being in the classroom with the kids all day is just, you can't beat it. I mean, yeah, you get paid more to do the higher stuff, but is it really worth it?
Yeah, it's and that's big, especially so when I'm trying to think of. I have a couple of things going through my head right now. One, I've been asked to do like administrative duties before, or like kind of get on a track that sort of
Hmm.
way. I'm not interested in it. I think um, I just want to be a really good teacher. And for a couple of reasons. I think one, the kids need it. The kids need that sort of consistency year after year. Two, it allows me tons of freedom to do all kinds of other stuff. So I still get to counsel kids and talk to kids when they need it. I don't have like all of these after school requirements that are set on me. I get to still do stuff, but to me, it's not just filled with like parent meetings and information sessions and stuff like that. And I like that. And I think if I was going to do anything else, I would go along the same route that you said. I love mentoring people. I've worked for Teach for America in the summer, even though I've never been a part of their organization.
Hmm.
Uh, Mentoring new teachers in the summer. That's my favorite thing about YouTube, that I didn't both connecting with people who teach all over the world, which is awesome. Like the fact that you're in Arizona right now and I'm in New Jersey, like awesome that like we're talking.
I know.
And
It's crazy.
being able to help all of these new and aspiring teachers, like people that like I wish this existed when I started teaching and it didn't.
I know.
And I love it. I love it's a lot of the same question over and over again. But if that's what folks need, then I'm willing to just keep talking about it over and over again. And
Hmm.
it's been great. I get excited to be able to help people out. To
Plus, I'm
do it.
getting new ideas from all the other people that you get to watch. Like, I can have 5 new ideas every day for that same question, because I went and watched somebody else's idea, or found or had a conversation with somebody who's been through that situation. I'm like, oh, well, I've got an idea now because I'm in this network, this connection with all these amazing teachers, and where else would we get that from?
Yeah, no, never. I mean, even when I tell new teachers to go into like, one of the things the piece of advice I give them is like, go and observe other teachers' rooms. So whether they're good or whether they're not very good, you're
Hmm.
going to take something away from that. And so I feel like YouTube has opened up this whole new door of like, you can check out people all over the world and see what their classrooms are like, because
Yep.
oftentimes like you just think with is the norm, and to see that maybe someone has figured out a better way, or someone's struggling a lot worse than you are, and that might help you feel better about your situation is just
Give you a
great.
little boost.
Yeah. And it will make you want
Absolutely.
to shop at Target a lot more, because I feel like everyone on YouTube shops at Target all the time. And I'm
They
like,
need to sponsor us.
yeah, they need to sponsor YouTube teachers at large, and that
Seriously. They do.
it's hilarious. The next question is KK asked, any tips on how to reduce the noise in your classroom when 30 people talking get really loud, even though they're trying their best to speak quietly? Man, that is a great question. I've never been asked that before.
That's a really amazing question, let me just tell you.
Especially because I'm really loud also all the time. So, is there anything that you do to try and help with that?
Well, I have a couple of different management techniques that I use for noise level. Before I say them, I just have to recognize that the expectation for noise level could be different teacher to teacher, school to school, and you just have to know what those expectations are before you begin, because I've taught in a school district where if an administrator walked by and she heard any talking in the classroom, you get a slap on the hand, whereas my administrator now walks by, hears talking, and goes, yes, that's what I want to hear. Because we do the collaboration and communication, they want the kids to be talking. And when I first started, my original thought was like, holy crap, it's way too loud in here. We're going to get in trouble. You guys are all talking way too loud. But then I stopped, listened, and realized that they were talking on task. They were talking about what I wanted them to be talking about. They were making connections with each other that were completely acceptable. And I realized, okay, I'm not going to go to jail for having this classroom be too loud. But there are times when they do get too loud because they're all talking. And if one group starts getting louder, the other group has to kind of go above them. Then the other group has to go above them. So one thing I use is, I don't know if any of you have ever heard it. It's a website called Bouncy Balls. And I could probably pull it up on my iPad, but it's basically, it connects to a microphone, and you just set it loose, and it has these balls that jump on the screen, and you can change it to emojis or like other things, but they bounce, and if it gets too loud, they're like up here, and then slowly as it gets quieter, they bounce a little bit lower, a little bit less. And so I have an expectation where if the bouncy balls reach a certain height, they lose a class point. And so they're constantly watching like, oh, like, oh, it's getting too loud. Like, oh. Yeah. It's always the group that's right next to the microphone that's like, shh. Like, even the biggest shush is going to make these balls bounce even higher.
Because that's like the worst part. It's not always the kids that are being loud. It's the kids that are trying to quiet them down.
Exactly.
Like, everybody shut up. And
the shushing is louder. This is what it looks like.
You're worse than...
So as I'm talking, I don't know if my mic is on this thing. Here, let me turn it on. But as I'm talking, the balls should be bouncing. Maybe I don't have the mic on. Anyway, it looks like, nope, wait, go back. I accidentally
hit. And you have that up like on a smartboard or a whiteboard or something like that?
Yeah, I have it up on the whiteboard, and it's connected to a microphone that's on my computer. And as you can see, this is kind of funny. It's like doing weird stuff. But on my computer, they would be bouncing as I'm talking. And if I'm too loud, they'll be like all over the place, crazy. And if it's quiet, they just stay kind of like this. So I like to use that as just like a visual for when it's group work time. I'll put this up on the screen. Sometimes I have it on one of my classroom computers if I need something else on the big screen, and they can still see it and they're aware. And I just say, okay, like for example, if the balls get higher than this camera, your class is going to lose a point. So,
And I love the idea that it's a visual. I mean, for high school, I like the teacher saying no noise reduction, embrace the noise. I used to be so afraid that there would be of noise because I thought if someone looked in and it was being too loud, it meant I didn't have my class under control. And then I started realizing that One, I do a lot of stuff that both is noisy and I think I make the kids loud sometimes. So if I tell a story or if I do something funny, I have to expect that they're going to lose it. They're going to just go nuts and laugh, and I need them to quiet back down. So I usually do like the old like countdown from 5. I just put my hand in the air and count down from 5. And high schoolers, even if I teach kids that are 18 years old, they always respond to that. It's so funny. Or I went to Kohl's and I bought an $8 megaphone, and it takes like 2 batteries, and it's awesome because kids always are quiet if you yell with the megaphone. And the megaphone's just fun for like 100 other things, from like yelling at kids in the hallway that are like, oh, here it is. It's all duct tape now because it's all, there it is.
Oh, yes.
And it has a bottle opener on it also. I don't know who's drinking beer and talking on megaphones, but I mean, it's there.
I don't know.
But the fun, there's a lot of fun with that too.
Always when he's talking.
One of the ideas behind that was I try and meet crazy with crazy. So like if you're 14 or 15 years old and you're just brimming with energy, I try and outdo that as much as I can, or I try and meet you where you are and then try and like bring you back down to like a normal kind of level of talking. So I think that really works. It's really funny. Like I said, when I first started teaching, I was nervous about it being loud, and now we'll do things like I have an elective that's the history of hip hop, and every Friday we have like a rap battle, a cipher in class, and the kids are battling against one another, so the music has to be really loud and everyone's chanting. And I find that the louder it is, the more people like look in my window with a smile instead of a frown, like because they know the kids are getting excited about something. And really, if you're 14 and you're in high school and you can be excited about anything, I feel like my administration is going to like pat you on the back and say, yeah, man, you're doing a great job. Like the kids are engaged, and that's what we want, instead of like falling asleep on your desk or something like that. Here's another name. Oh, I just made it go away. I'm the worst. I'm sorry. I was about to ruin that name. Dylan Smith asked, what? Oh, you disappeared again. I will find you, and then I will read this question. Where's it, babe? Oh my God. So I'm waiting for her to pop back up on here. But I will. Oh, there we go. Dun, dun. This is the first time this has happened, so it's cool. Rakim,
I'm here. I'm so sorry.
awesome. It's all right. I love that it's like really quick. It's off and on, and I didn't even read the question yet. So you drop out at like really opportune times.
Well,
Dylan
perfect.
Smith asked, what college did you go to? What did you get your bachelor's degree in? My college requires a dual major with elementary ed. Any suggestions on a good dual major would be, and do you have a master's? That's a lot of questions. So what college did you go to? What did you get your bachelor's degree in? For a good dual major, and do you have a master's?
Okay.
I've answered all of that stuff, but go ahead. What do you got?
Well, I went to ASU, Arizona State University, and I got my bachelor's in elementary education. I also got a couple of different associate's degrees on the way. I think I got one in elementary ed, arts in something, and then general studies. I did not need to dual major, but if I needed to, I probably would have majored in theater, music. Oh, hello, sweetheart.
Here's your husband.
Yeah, he's been sitting back there. Or something to do with performing arts, because that's I have a really big background in performing arts. So I would say if you're going to pick a second major, I would pick something that you're really interested in personally, because if you have to do double the work, you're going to want to enjoy the second one as much as you enjoy the first one. I don't think I would ever major in like math or science, because I personally don't find that exciting, which is why I teach 4th grade. Yeah. I don't have a master's degree, and the reason I don't have one is because it's going to cost me a ton of money to go get another degree, where I'm only going to make a little bit more than I make now and have student loans. And I'm not required to have one in the district, in the state. Really, you don't need to have a master's degree. You do get paid a little bit more, but the difference is really just unnoticeable. So until the day comes where my administrator says, hey, you need to start getting your master's degree, I'm just going to lay low and really focus on my job, because I know myself as a student. And when I'm a student, I need to focus 100% on school. And I know that if I were to be going to school and getting my master's degree, my teaching would just, because all my, I'm paying for this, so I need to do this 100%, and this over here just wouldn't get 100%. So but that's just my opinion. That's because I know myself as a learner, and I know that if I did get it, I'd just be paying off those loans with that extra money I'm getting. So why waste my time if I don't need to have it?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, especially when I'm thinking of brand new teachers that go back for their master's during their first year that they're teaching, and it's like, you have to be mad. It's bonkers. I mean, I had a child during my second year of teaching, and that was already like a lot, and so I can't imagine. I went to school. I went to Rowan University in New Jersey, which is a state school in New Jersey. I got my bachelor's degree in English, which was completely useless. I realized afterwards I couldn't find anything that I was interested in doing with that. It just looked cool, and I had lots of books. And so I went back to school to get what's called my post-baccalaureate degree in secondary education. I don't have a master's degree. I didn't start teaching until I was 27, and so now my kids are at a really great age. They're 7 and 9, and so they still love me. They still are like excited when I come home. We hang out, we do stuff. And for me, that decision is partially because like I don't want to use that time up that I have now that I could be spending with my children, like pursuing a master's degree, when I also don't feel like I need it. And it just seems like a bad business decision. Like you said, I'm not going to make that much more money to have a master's when, I don't know, can people just, if they want to hire me, just watch my YouTube channel and decide whether they like me or not? And so if I was going to have a secondary degree, I think I'd pick something in either special ed or in counseling, just because that is a passion of mine in school, and I'd love to know more about that and actually talk to people about it. Like, I could read books on that sort of thing, but I'd love to be able to have the discussion with folks and learn from someone who really knows about that. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here goes another Reynolds ruining someone's name. Arrow? All right, I'm sticking with that. How do you balance being a full-time teacher and attending graduate school? Thank you. Any advice or tips would be helpful. So, like we both said, we don't have graduate degrees, but how did you balance, even like, were you married before you started teaching, or like, did you ever have another big thing that happened in your life while you were teaching? I mean, obviously you're pregnant now, so that's
yeah. Well, I actually met my husband when I was finishing. Actually, I think I was going into my second year of second year of student teaching. So I wasn't a teacher quite yet. And at my school, we did 2 years of student teaching, or no, a full year of student teaching. Sorry. It was like my second semester going in. And I also actually own a business. I still currently own it. It's just a entertainment business for children. I dress up as Disney princesses and entertain people. And I also sang in a band. So I not only did my student teaching, which was all throughout the day, but I had my weekend jobs, which kept me really busy. So that, juggling was kind of stressful, kind of hard. But I just decided as a student teacher that I just wasn't going to take work home with me. And a lot of people might frown upon that because it's like, well, when do you get everything done? But it's like I've said before, pick and choose what you're going to grade. Pick and choose what you're looking for. You know those standards. You know what those kids need to be able to do. So look for those specific things, and you don't need to grade every single thing. Just take and grade what you need. plan while you're at school, or plan, when you're in bed at night. And don't take time away from your loved ones to do all of those things, because those loved ones are the ones that you really, really need desperately. So I think just making sure that you take time for yourself is really important when juggling and being a planner. I mean, take time out of the day. If you know, okay, I have this big project I need to work on, I'm going to do it for this many hours, go somewhere else. Don't do it at home. Go to Starbucks. Go to, a restaurant with Wi-Fi and do it there, because that way you're not present at home where your loved ones are missing you, but you're right there. Go do it somewhere else. Stay at school an extra hour. Go to the library or, something like that, and just make time set aside for what you need to get done, and then have all the time left at home to be there with your loved ones. I think that that's a really great way to kind of balance everything.
Yeah, that's a really good point. In terms of I like that idea of staying at school. A lot of times I'll just call my wife from school and say, hey, I have all this stuff. And instead of organizing it, packing it in my bag, coming home, unpacking it, doing it there, I could just take an extra hour and knock it out and then come home. And that's usually what I'll pick, instead of coming home and doing stuff. Plus you get distracted when you walk in the door. Someone gets a boo-boo, or if somebody has something really cool on YouTube they want to show me, I wouldn't be able to take the time to do that, and it's easy to get distracted. I think in my life, one of the things that's, even in college and in student teaching, because I had to work full-time still through that, was being really, really organized and planned out. So I knew that I had to maximize whatever the hours were that I was awake, and I would literally say, I have an hour to get this done. And there's I want to say it's Parkinson's law. There's some theory that says a task will take the amount of time that you give it. So if I know that I have all day to clean my house, it will take me all day to clean my house. But if I know someone's coming over for dinner and I have 20 minutes to get it done, magically, it gets done. So I think if you set that time up for yourself, you can usually get things done in that amount of time. And if you don't finish it, at least there's a big chunk done, and you don't have it's not looming over you. So even with my kids, I'll say all right, I'm going to play Xbox with you, because I did not play video games for a very long time until I had children. And now I'm that dad, because I want to do whatever my kids want. So I will tell them look, we have 45 minutes to play video games, and that's it. So we can't mess around, because then I have other things to do. And I feel like that sort of structure really, really works for me, because then I can feel like I can hit all my bases as I'm going through the day.
Absolutely.
This goes off of that question. Dope Law, who shows up just about every week also, I really appreciate it, asked, who talked about you talked about having time for yourself earlier in the blog. Do you enjoy unwinding or relaxing? So what do you do to unwind and relax? And is it different now than when you first started teaching?
I only heard part of that question, but I think I got the meat of it. What I do to unwind after a long day of work is I like to come home and take off the shoes, lose the work pants, throw on the sweats, get on the couch and watch an hour of Netflix, YouTube, whatever I'm going to watch for that day. And then, or go to the gym if I can get my tushy there, because some days I just don't want to. If I can get to the gym, that's a really good stress reliever, because, you're lifting those weights, you're running, and you're getting all those, the bad, if you had a bad day, go to the gym, lift some weights, get a punching bag. Or at night, I'll take a really nice hot bubble bath, totally cliche. Obviously, I'm not reaching for the glass of wine these days, but I will enjoy a nice hot cup of tea and just get in my bed and snuggle and love on my dogs, love on my sweetie, and soon I'll be able to love on a little person, but just, getting cozy and being completely separated from work. I'm not going to come home and pull out 32 essays on monkeys in Africa. I'm going to be, completely away. I'll even turn my phone and go because I have class dojo, so there's still parents that will come, and I'll answer those questions. But if it gets to a certain time, I'm like, no, if it's 8 o'clock at night and you're still working on math homework, like, you need to stop and go to bed and like come to me in the morning. Just completely detach from work.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there has to be that cutoff at some point, and that's, actually one of the things I really love about my principal is he tells the new teachers this all the time, tells all the teachers this all the time, that like when you come home, there needs to be a part where you, like, if you have a school cell phone or if you're checking your email, you need to shut that stuff off, because you need that downtime to be able to recuperate and to give that time to your family or to your dog or whatever occupies your time. My students never believe this about me, but I garden, and I've loved gardening ever since I was in 6th grade. It is really funny. It makes me feel like a really old guy, but I love just like it takes my attention and really puts it towards something else that's sort of mindless. So like weeding my garden, or my wife will laugh at me because I sit. There was a situation a couple weeks ago, like right at the end of the school year. I had a tough day, and I came home and I hear my wife go, "Hey, does anyone know where Dad is?" And my daughter just sort of nonchalantly says, "Yeah, he's in the backyard picking clover out of the grass." And I was out there picking like pieces of clover.
Oh no, I
out
missed
of
the
my
funny
grass.
part.
But the fact that she said it like in such a way that like, hey, he's doing that weird thing that he does all the time. But it's something about like bringing organization to something that needs it. So picking the weeds really just makes me feel better. It's same reason I like will just clean my house out of nowhere, is like it makes me feel like something's under control, something's organized, and that's what relieves stress in my life as well. Oh, she dropped out again. I'm gonna get her. We'll fix it. So I see. Can you note that?
Yes, I already did.
Okay, cool. ELA teacher, we're gonna get to you in just a second. Waiting. There it is. Maybe, sorta.
Here I am.
All right.
Only the 100th time tonight.
It's always at the end of your question. I think it's.
I always miss the best part of what you're saying. Like, Dad was in the where?
I really changed lives with that last answer. I want you to know. I'm sorry that you missed it. No. So I was saying that's so funny because my daughter will just say sort of nonchalant, "Oh, Dad's in the backyard over out of the grass." And like, and it's such a lame thing to do, right? Like I hardly tell people. Now I'm on the internet telling people, and it was just so funny to me that like when my kids start saying the weird stuff that I do, like it's not yeah, Dad's doing that weird thing that he does in the backyard. Like, and then my wife's like, "Oh, okay," and then she comes out back. So she's just they're funny like that. Teacher asked, "I am transitioning from middle school setting to an elementary building next year. I will be teaching the same grade 5th. Any suggestions?" Oof.
So 5th grade was at the middle school, and now it's at the elementary school building?
Yeah. That's funny. Growing up, middle school didn't start till 7th grade for me. And my son is going to be in 4th grade in middle school next year, which I think is wild.
In middle school? In 4th grade?
Yeah, that's a brand new school, and that's just how they categorize them. So, what's I don't know. So, what would you suggest? Just being an elementary school teacher, what would you say for that?
I would just say, okay, be open to a buddy classroom. I have a buddy classroom, a kindergarten teacher and I buddy together. And once a month, we're going to plan little meetups for our kids. So either we'll go over there and read to them or like help them with a project, or they can come to us and kind of see how like, ooh, it's 4th grade. I would say maybe just like try to reach out to the younger grade levels and just get, as much from them as you can, because they've had the kids before. And, they have a lot of insight, and just utilize the fact that you have those little kids there in the same school. And, you can use, if the fifth graders are the top dogs in the building, you know, like you guys need to be an example for the younger kids and use that as motivation for management, behaviors, things like that. I think that's like the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's not like either one of us have been in this situation before, but you know, the more teachers I talk to, the more I realize that it's really getting to know your students that's such a big deal. So I watch and learn tons of stuff that I wouldn't normally do. Like I'll go see movies this summer just because I know my students are going to be talking about it, and it might be something I'm not particularly interested in. Like Wonder Woman kind of looks cool. Wouldn't normally go see it because my kids aren't there yet. Like they're not pumped to see that stuff yet.
Yeah.
But I'll see stuff or watch things. I've said on here, last year I watched Love and Hip Hop, and that was pretty much the worst show I ever watched in my life. But I watched it because my students watch it all the time, so I'll get down with it. So I think figuring out what it is students, because it'll make you more relatable, and it'll give you stuff to talk about in class. So if you're fifth graders, if everyone's going to see Despicable Me 3 this summer, like I will be soon, then you should, I'd say, watch that stuff because it just gives you something to talk to the students about. And makes you more relatable to them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Do you have time for a few more?
Sure.
Cool.
If my computer allows.
Yeah. So we'll see what your computer decides there. Lee Gets Fit asked, how do you maximize time? I'm going from a 90-minute to a 45-minute period. That's a great question. Because it doesn't sound like a lot of time, like if you're not a teacher, but 15 minutes, sometimes 2 minutes is a huge amount of time to run out of stuff to do. Do you have experience with that? Like, do your class times change at all ever?
They haven't at my recent school, but at my old school, we had blocks of time that we had to be in a certain subject. And if we weren't transitioning at the time we needed to be transitioning, we would get in lots of trouble. So I would just say, as cliche as it is, create a presentation to keep yourself on track and maybe use timers. I think it's Pocket Full of Primary or Teach, Create, Motivate, but she has wonderful slides with timers on them. And I use those even though I'm not on like a time crunch. But if I had known about them in my last district, those would have been nice because I would have been able to say, okay, we have 5 more minutes. Let's wrap this up now. Even if we're not done, we're going to wrap it up. And, that would help me organize my time and to kind of help me keep track of that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I like to chunk my class up into certain like bits of time. So like whatever my pre-class is, I feel out is going to be about 10 minutes long. And sometimes those run longer and sometimes they run shorter because I teach like 5 or 6 classes during the day that are the same exact thing. So my first class actually runs, I run out of time every single day. By the end of the day, I have like 10 minutes left and I'm not sure what to do with it all the time. So I would say just what I would do is plan backup activities in case you have too much time. Like there's tons of stuff on YouTube, or just I'll times just have like independent reading time. Like, all right, everyone take out your book and we're going to like independently read. And if you can do that for this amount of time, I'll let you do something fun for the last 5 minutes or something like that. And that helps you not feel so nervous about like, are you going to run out of time? Do you have too much time left? Are you running short every day? And whatever helps you to be calmer in class, you're going to be better off in class.
Yeah, I like the idea of having like something planned for if you finish early. That's really big because, when administration walks in and your kids are doing free time, it's like the whole, well, we're finished early excuse doesn't work anymore. You need to fill that time with something that's, academic, educational, enriching for the kids, and obviously they want to learn, they want to earn, something, a little bit of, an incentive for doing that, the right way. And so I think that that's really important, is having something planned for if you're done early or if you don't finish.
Yeah, it's crucial sometimes because, like I said, sometimes you have 2 minutes left with nothing to do, and it's like feels like an eternity because the kids are going nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Queen de la Classroom asked, any tips while waiting to hear back from your first year teaching interviews? I feel like I should be doing something besides waiting. Love your shows and thanks for doing this. Wow, that's an interesting question too. I don't know. I feel like I hear like the things that folks are doing when they go on interviews and portfolios and all this great stuff. I didn't go in with any of that. I think partially because I went into schools that I didn't think, just asked for a job. But I'm not sure. What did you do after you applied for your job? Were you sure you were going to get it? Did you apply to a lot?
Well, my first job, I had applied at a couple of different school districts, and I hadn't heard from one school district, the school district I student taught in, which I was hoping to get hired in. Yep. And then I actually was contacted by the other school district to come and interview, and it was right around graduation. So I was kept busy with graduation, with final essays, things like that. But I also had a backup plan. I had my sub business cards all pre-made. I had my sub application already in. I had my board on Pinterest already filled out. I was ready to be a substitute teacher if I wasn't going to get a job right away because I didn't know. I mean, even if you do get contacted by a school or a principal, it doesn't mean you're going to get the job. So I just had a backup plan, and I felt like that really calmed me because I thought at the end of the day, okay, well, if I don't get this job, at least I have this where I'm still going to have a lot of good experience with kids in schools. I can get my foot in the door. I can meet principals, and that will give me a really good push for when the next school year comes. Or if, a teacher leaves halfway through the year, they could say, okay, well, we need a teacher now, and you're subbing in that school all the time, so you could be the first person to be like, hey, I'll take it, So I think just having a backup plan is really important, or you could just go to Target and spend all day there and keep yourself distracted because, that's a really good place to distract your mind.
Good. Sometimes you just walk around Target and you didn't know you needed that.
Daydream about all the things you're going to get when you do get your classroom.
I think it's one of the things you touched on was like this idea of subbing. And I think if you're not teaching, or if you're not sure if you're going to be teaching, start looking into avenues where you can still be engaging with students. So maybe you're at a tutoring center, or maybe you're working as part of an after-school program, or mentoring kids in some sort of program. And that is going to, it's going to just be something else that's on your resume. And two, it keeps you kind of in the classroom, and you're kind of in that mode instead of like working at Home Depot for a year and then going back into the classroom where it's going to be completely different. And you might get a little bit too comfortable in that position. Like, oh, Home Depot is going pretty well. And I say that as someone that worked at Home Depot in college. And like, those things can become like the stepping stone that everyone sits down on instead of like keeps moving forward.
Yeah.
I have, two more questions. One is, Kaylee Nicole asked, what's your favorite part of your fourth grade, and what other grade levels have you taught?
My favorite part about teaching fourth grade is that it's higher level than third grade. The kids are a little bit older. They're no longer learning to read. They're reading to learn. And so you can really get these amazing topics and these awesome skills kind of in their heads to start preparing them for the higher grades. I keep telling Jennifer, she's like, oh no, I never teach fourth grade. I'm like, you would love fourth grade if you loved third grade, because it's really it's very similar, curriculum. Fourth, fifth, and third are all very similar. They just get higher up in level and rigor. But I love the age of the kids. I like that if they sass me, I can sass them right back, and they're not going to go home crying. They're not going to, think that I'm, mean. They're going to take it. And I think that I maybe have a little bit of a fourth grader brain inside my head. So I just connect with this grade level. But I can mess with them, and I can be funny, and I can be silly, and they get it, and they still think I'm funny. They still love me. They can go to the bathroom on their own. They can wipe their own boogers. And I've taught third grade before. I student taught in a third grade classroom, and I did all my practicum my internships, my service learning, everything was in a third grade classroom. So I really only experienced third and fourth. But I think they're very similar. The only difference between third and fourth is I think before they get to fourth grade, they're really innocent. And then they get to fourth grade and they're like, oh, I'm a fourth grader. They get really sassy. And it's all about social acceptance. But I think that if you're the kind of person that can just, kind of be like, no, we're not doing that. You're not going to do that to me. And just nip it before it starts. Yeah. Just be really strong personality. You'll be fine, because fourth graders are just third graders with a little more attitude.
Yeah, I love it. That's one of the reasons I love ninth grade, is because I can talk to kids like they're adults, and they're not used to being talked to like adults because everyone still treats them like kids. And so you gain acceptance and credibility off the bat because because I'm just about as sarcastic as they come. So the kids don't ever see that coming. And when it hits them, it's like, all right, man, we're instant partners in this.
Yeah.
And so the last question, I think this is a good last question. P, I'm just going to ruin your name again. So P, where Taro, gosh, I'm the worst, man. Have your spouses always been supportive of your career choice? I think that's a really interesting question. I'm waiting for your husband to shout over your shoulder.
I know, I'm waiting for him to pop up and be like, let me tell you. You know what? He actually was like, babe, you should interview me on your YouTube channel. I could give the world a piece of my mind about your job. I think that my husband is very supportive in what I do because I love what I do, and he knows that. And it gives me a way to use my heart in a way that nobody else can. I mean, there's no other job where you can work with your heart. And that's one of the things he loves about me, is I just have this big heart, and I have so many people to share it with. And I think that that's one of the reasons why he is proud of what I do. I think, are you proud of what I do? Here he comes. Are you proud? He's going to come on over.
This will be a first. Let's do it.
Come on over.
All right.
How's it going, man?
Hey, how you doing?
This is
good.
Scott.
I owe you, Scott. I'm CJ.
Sorry.
What do you feel about her being a teacher? Is it tough? Is it easy? I mean, you have a pretty tough job too, so I'm sure you both could have answers for one another. But
I when I first saw her coming home to me when she first started teaching, she was always upset, always crying, and that kind of stuff. And I always asked her if it was worth the money. That was one of the things that I always wondered is you put yourself out there for 10, 11 hours a day, but you're only getting paid for 8. And you do this job that when I walked in that classroom, I was like, nah. I'm sorry, but I couldn't deal with you kids. Like, I don't know. I have a short temper, so I couldn't do it. Whereas she stays calm, and I see most teachers do. But I think teaching is a special thing that somebody has to have in them to want to do it, because you're not getting paid very much. I mean, I don't know how much she makes up here, but it's really not much at all, and you went to school for this, where there's people out there that are, making sales calls and stuff. I was doing insurance before this, and I was doubling her paycheck, and I was sitting behind a desk, and I didn't have to have a college degree for that.
Yeah.
So there's teachers that are here with 4 or 5 years in education degrees, and they're still paying off student debt where they can't even make enough to live on their own. There's teachers here that live together because they can't make it. That's kind of where I told her, I said, you got to, take it where it is, because if you want to do this job, you're not going to get paid for it. You're doing it because you love it. And so I saw that with her when I first met her, because she had a princess business. She was always really good with kids, and that's something that you don't find very often. That's not something that comes with somebody. It's just, they say it's a motherly trait, but I've seen some bad mothers. Not all mothers are made to be mothers. So just like not all fathers are supposed to be fathers, but you can make kids, so you'll have it. But I told her, if I support her on anything and everything she does. And if that's what she wants to do, then I'm the man in the house, so I have to pick up the slack somewhere else. So
Yeah.
that's
I
what
agree.
happens.
I'll tell you, that's tricky, especially like we lived off just my income for years. My wife stayed at home with my kids for 8 years. And so I used to think, well, what else am I going to do? Like there's something in you that, you're right. Like a lot of my students that I teach, like don't have parents at home. They don't have that support. And when you get to be that for someone, it's a really hard thing to, like, you figure out ways to make it work. You figure out ways to fill the gaps in your bills or in your finances because the job becomes so important. And I really do feel like, to answer the question, that I am blessed to have a wife that has like supported me through all those crazy things. Like when I went to Costa Rica last year for 10 days and left her at home with both my kids, she like knew how important that was. And like, not just to me, but like in the lives of the students, and that it would only be that set number of days for us, but that would live on, something from that trip would live on in my kids for the rest of their lives, hopefully. And, I just think that's, so I do feel like I'm really blessed to have that, it sounds like you guys are as well. Well, yeah, thanks for stepping in there. I'm glad that you jumped in. That was cool. So
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Somebody's dream came true that wanted that to happen anyway. So we'll, but I really want to just say thanks a lot for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. And before you go, I just want to say to folks that are watching that if you didn't get your question answered, because some of the questions just run by so quickly, you can go ahead and leave them on my YouTube channel under the video. And I know people get weird about this sometimes, Charlotte, but like if you want to go in, if you see anyone asks you a question, like just go ahead and answer it. I don't know. I don't know. It gets weird sometimes on YouTube. It's like rules that I don't know about. So, but that will be there, and folks can catch it on the podcast or on the rebroadcast. And then next week we'll be back on Tuesday. I don't know who's going to be on Tuesday yet because I had a scheduling malfunction, but someone cool will be on Tuesday. So it was supposed to be, actually Jen from Genuine Teaching was going to be on, but we're moving her to a different date because she had something come up. And so we'll fill that spot with something awesome. So thanks again for being on. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really, really enjoyed this. Hello back there.
And there's my son.
All the families joining the videos today.
You want to say hi?
Hi.
He's being shy because he's on
Don't be shy.
First time being on live.
It's your first time being on live?
Me too.
They're all the way in Arizona. In the desert. Awesome.
You don't want to come to Arizona where it's 105 degrees?
It's really hot there.
It is really hot there. He's peeking. This is hilarious. All right.
Bye.
Are you ready? All right, we're going to bed.
All
Thanks
right.
so much for coming on, guys. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
All right. Bye.
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 Thanks so much again, guys. If you want to recatch the broadcast on my YouTube channel, Real Rap with the Reynolds, myself and Charlotte will answer any questions that we didn't get to tonight. And you can catch us next week on Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And we will have 2 no's on. Maybe someone amazing. Maybe someone like my neighbor because I couldn't find anybody. Thanks, guys. Peace.